path of knowledge, obviously that goes with the lucidity people. The path of action, obviously that goes with Arjuna and the other passion, desire, action people. And then the path of devotion. And this is one that is going to be easiest for the tamas, lazy people to pursue. Devotion is all about meditation. It's about sitting there saying Om, which is that syllable that calms the mind, that helps clear you to understand better that you are Atman, but that is also the syllable, the word most fully associated with Brahman. All words are Brahman, just again, like the chair is Brahman, your fingernails are Brahman. But Om is the word that most fully is Brahman. Anyway, so if you are a devotional person, if you are meditating, you don't have to act, you don't have to know, you just sit around and try to feel Brahman. You can be lazy, you can be sleepy, you can be negligent, and still be devoted to Brahman. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that you can be negligently devotional, but I'm saying that for a negligent person, a lazy person, this is going to be a much easier way for them to access Brahman than would be reading 5,000 scholarly books, doing 5,000 prescribed duties. So you can work on being more devotional, and in that way can come to know Brahman almost, again there are differences, but almost in a way that we can understand from the Christianity side of things. We're used to an internal piety, one that says, I want to get close to Jesus Christ. Something like that is offered to tamas, guna, people as their alternative way to Brahman. As you know, Krishna is the incarnation of Brahman, just as for us as Christians, Jesus is the incarnation of God. The human form of the divine, walking around on the earth, dispensing advice. Arjuna, you need to fight. Christians, you shouldn't, do all these other things. So when there is a human form of the God, when there is an incarnation of God, devotion becomes much easier. There is a being to focus on, a being whom you can love, a being to whom you can be devoted. And again, this is the path that is going to be easiest for the tamas people.
Dr. Sperry,
yes.
It's 10:30.
Is that when I'm supposed to quit?
Oh, just okay. Sorry about you.
All right. So the gunas are disseminated to you by Brahman. You become who you are this way, and they have both hindrances and helps associated with them. But they are not who you fully are. Who you fully are underneath is Atman. And as always, that is what you most need to realize. The surface self comes from Maya, is an illusion. You need to come to realize who you most fully are. Discipline is the way to do this. Doing your duty with detachment. I said I was going to come back and talk about what your duty is. Your duty has three major components. The first is your caste duty. You need to act in a way that is prescribed for people of your caste. So if you're a Brahmin, top caste, priestly caste, you need to do the various religious rituals and things that are associated with Brahmins. And also you need to do more scholarly investigation to know more about Brahman. Secondly, if you're a Kshatriya, what's your duty? Well, it's to fight, especially in a war whose purpose is to undo the chaos in the universe. And you'll remember the story that unfolds over the course of the Gita is of Arjuna trying to decide whether he is going to fight in this battle to undo chaos, to get the throne of the kingdom back to his oldest brother who has the right to the throne, but the cousins have stolen the throne. And so Arjuna is supposed to be fighting in this battle. It's part of his duty. There are the merchant class who are supposed to carry out business, the peasant class who are supposed to work the fields and serve people. Then there are the untouchables, supposed to do the nasty jobs nobody wants to do, burying the dead, cleaning up the sewage. Everybody has their job according to caste. There's also your duty according to ashrama, according to your stage of life. A young person up to about the age of 25, there's no real hard and fast rule on this, but these are the guidelines, is supposed to be a celibate student. From the age of 25 to 50, again roughly, you're supposed to be a householder. You're supposed to carry out business, you're supposed to have a family, you're supposed to contribute to the ordinary social running of the universe. From about 50 to 75, you're supposed to start detaching from that, go out into the forest, be a recluse, start to think more about your relationship with Brahman and Atman if you can, and then, if you make it long enough in this life, from 75 to 100, completely give up everything associated with your ordinary life and go wander the streets as an ascetic, hoping somebody will feed you. But you're becoming so detached from your regular life that you don't ask for food. Somebody has to actually give it to you, or you don't take it. And again, it's because you're trying to become more in touch with your Atman. And then third, there's also your gender duties. These duties, as I've described them, actually have a lot more to do with the male side of things than the female side of things. But you can almost imagine a chart that lays out what the duty for someone is depending on their caste, their ashrama, the stage of life, and their gender. Your job is to figure out where you happen to fall on that chart. What caste am I from? How old am I? What gender am I? And then do that duty. So, in order to achieve moksha, do your duty, but do it with detachment. Last major thing to talk about is what amount of free will you actually have with respect to taking this advice. Brahman sends out this Maya. He sends out these guna selves. You can't help the fact, let's say, that you got born with a lot of the rajas guna, the passion guna in you. You're just going to want to act all the time. Well, how much control do you have over that? Not very much. You're determined to have this passion guna in you. It's who you are. In fact, it actually seems to be the case, and there is some scholarly controversy about this. There's also some religious controversy about this, just like Christians don't always agree with one another. It seems to be the case that you're actually determined in so far as we know which actions you're going to do. You may remember at the very end of the Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, this is as the 18th teaching is closing out, quit resisting, fighting this battle. You're going to have to act. You are going to find yourself fighting this battle whether you want to or not. The world is like a giant machine. He actually uses the word machine. And you are like a cog in it. He doesn't say this part of it. But you're part of this machine. And you're going to act whether you want to or not. And you're going to act in the way that's prescribed for you to act whether you want to or not. So things are determined at the level of your actions. What role for free will is there then? Detachment. You have the option to decide how invested you're going to be in the actions you find yourself performing anyway. Are you deeply invested in getting the fruits of those actions? Or can you instead say, I guess I'm doing these actions, but however it turns out, it doesn't really matter to me. To us, that seems kind of screwy, kind of undesirable. What good is a deterministic universe where I do stuff whether I want to or not, and my only free choice is to not care about it if I don't want to? The Gita says, actually, this is the best kind of freedom. Because the actions that you're determined to do, those are the actions that your body and your guna self are determined to do. And those aren't who you really are. What you're free to do is to decide not to care anymore about the surface self, the guna self, the bodily self, and to instead focus on the Atman self. The more I become detached from the fruits of my actions, the more I'm focusing on the Brahman within me, the Atman self. And the more I do that, the more I'm becoming who I truly, really am, as well as achieving the ultimate goal of my life, and that is moving toward moksha. So, this enables us to again see how these two things come together. Knowing the ultimate reality, that Brahman is everything and that I am Atman underneath, and then seeing what my connection with that is. My role is through discipline, through doing my dharma with detachment, to freely choose to focus on the Atman self within me, the truest self within me. And the better I get at that, the higher up the reincarnative cycle I'm going to be in my future lives, and ultimately, if I really get it, I will achieve moksha. When I die, whatever life I'm in, when I finally understand it, I won't have to come back, I won't have to be reincarnated. I will spend the rest of eternity as the Atman self, Brahman, that I have been all along, and just needed to take those 68 lives to come to understand. Okay, thank you very much.